Hi, guys. So today I am going to guide you on how to do prints or how to introduce printmaking with your students in the elementary art classroom. Okay, so let's go.
Okay, so the first thing you need is for them to draw on a scratch foam. And this can be anything. I am in a choice classroom, so I notice my students pick their own content. But if you're not in choice, or maybe you're studying something specific, it could be about a specific animal you're studying. You can connect with science. You can connect with maybe a book you read and they are illustrating some aspect of the book. It could be abstract. It could be, let's say you're looking at Van Gogh drawings, for example, and they could do maybe even landscapes that of different landscapes based on lines and shapes and things. So again, the content doesn't matter. What's important, and if you look at these scratch foam drawings, you will see what's really important is that you set up the scratch foam in order for it to successfully print or create a print. So the way that I do this is the first day they draw whatever it is they draw, and I make sure they make every aspect of that scratch foam interesting, or I don't, or I ask them to add details. Basically, not one part of it should be just like this giant blank section. And that's how I phrase it. I pretty much say, is every part of this interesting to you? What other information could you put so that it's interesting to the viewer? So that's sort of how I kind of encourage the kids to fill in all their areas. On the second day, I have them use the pen again, but this time they have to thicken all the lines that they drew so that it creates a texture on the scratch foam. And hand over hand, you can show them that this texture they create actually has a feeling under their fingertips. So once you teach them that, they can go ahead and run their fingers across the scratch foam and see what areas still need to be worked on. Now, this can happen on a third day or on that second day, depending on how your time is scheduled, is they choose 4 or 5 different shapes on the scratch foam to push in and color in completely. And that means they're digging into the scratch foam, and notice over here on the right, there's that butterfly, and they're using the pen to push in the scratch foam. And these are the areas that are going to be the paper color. And the best way that I've found to explain these to the kids is, of course, to demonstrate it and then ask them the question, why is the wing the color of the paper? And then they come to that conclusion on their own. Another way to do this, if you're pressed for time, is everybody's iPhone settings has this option where if you go onto settings, and this is for iPhone, by the way, there's this area called accessibility. You click on accessibility, and then you click on display and text size. You scroll down and click on classic invert, and that will flip your phone so that everything that's dark is white and everything that's white is going to be dark. And that is a way that you can walk around the classroom and show students what their stamp will look like when used with a white paper and black ink. And that is another way that you can quickly show them what still needs to be worked on. Okay, so we are on printing day. You are going to need every child to be wearing a smock. And I don't mean the kind that you tie in the back. That takes way too long. Some kids cannot do that. They can't even tie their own sneakers sometimes. They're not going to be able to tie anything behind their back. So what I use is t-shirts, large t-shirts. I have parents donate them. definitely ask for them before you start your printmaking unit. You will need them. And this, there's a picture here that shows the child wiping their hands on their t-shirt, and that is exactly what we'll need them for, so that our prints will not have fingerprints. Also, if you notice that the students are having a hard time with putting on their t-shirts on their own, please take the time to teach every single child in a group, like as a group, how to break it down. Like I teach the kids to hold the t-shirt by the shoulder, lay the t-shirt down on the table, crawl inside the body of the t-shirt, open up their arms, find the head, the hole that you're going to put your head through, and put that over your head. So if you notice a lot of kids are struggling and they're coming up to you to help them put the t-shirts on, you must stop and take that time to teach them how to put the t-shirt on. The worst thing that you can do is walk around helping kids putting on the t-shirts, because basically they're going to ask you every single time. So what we're doing as teachers is we need to teach them. We need to teach them when we notice they don't know how to do something, instead of helping them. So our job is to teach them how to put their t-shirt on if we notice that a large amount of them are not able to. Of course, if there's one or two kids, you can work with those kids individually, but you are trying your hardest to make them as independent as possible so that your job is easier and you are able to then do more complex works in the future and not be wasting your time putting on individual t-shirts to individual kids every single class. Next, what you're going to need is pre-cut halved copy paper. So just whatever your regular copy paper, these were donated to me. I go to the paper cutter and I cut them in half. I always start with 5x7 scratch foam and nothing bigger, or else you're going to be there until the child graduates from high school. So 5x7 scratch foam, and it pairs well with the half page of a copy paper. Whatever you can, I just go to the copy room and borrow some of those, or if you have parents, they can donate, or you can go ahead and order copy paper. The paper is thin enough, it is affordable enough, and you can find it in your copy room. So it's super easy to print on these, and I always start with these. Of course, on the printing day, you're going to need their stamps ready to go, and anyone that has been absent, you might want to help them to catch up so that they're ready to go. Make sure every area of the stamp is interesting and it's going to render a wonderful print. And also make sure every kid has had a couple of their shapes colored in. Next, you're going to need magazines. You're going to need enough magazines for each child to have one magazine to create their prints on top of. Next, you're going to need these trays for the ink and rollers. And it's very important that you have enough for everyone, but that they can also share. So for a table of 4, I normally will have 2 trays and 2 rollers, so that kids still have to share, but they're not waiting that long for their turns. In elementary, I make sure I'm the only person refilling these trays with ink, and I do not let the students do that. Of course, that is a personal choice. You might want to teach the students to properly fill the ink. In my case, it just keeps me sane, and it's what I can handle at the moment. And my classes are sometimes 35 minutes long, so it's much, much easier for me to just walk around and fill in their trays when necessary. I think it's also important to mention that as teachers, we really need to start looking at ourselves as researchers. And also, we are naturally self-reflective and intuitive, and do the things that work for us. So just because I'm doing this video doesn't mean you have to do it exactly my way. But it's important to see what other people are doing so that you can make a decision whether that is how you want to do something or not. But ultimately, it's your decision whether that is something you'd like to do. And as long as it makes sense to you, that is what's important. Next, I show them how to ink the roller. And I'm very specific about how they must count to about 20, going up, down, side to side, up, down, side to side, so that their roller is evenly covered in ink. If they don't do this, my emphasis on having them count to a certain number is so that their roller is properly covered and that they don't just do it a couple of times and then have these globs of ink on their stamp, and then they have these very heavy paint or heavy inked up prints. Then they wonder why it didn't work. So it's very important. Also, I tell them to pay attention to the noise. There will be a very sticky sound that's created from the tray when they are properly inking the roller. And this is where the magazine comes into play. They are inking their stamp inside one of the pages of the magazine, and that way they can freely allow themselves to go all the way over the edge. And if the magazine gets dirty, oh well, it's okay. It's a magazine that's going to be thrown away anyway. And that way all their edges are nice and covered with the ink. And this is where the magazine is useful. Now, ready to ink our print, or ready to create our print, and we're going to turn the page of the magazine to a clean page. And that's not going to be hard because the magazine usually has several pages. You're going to put your stamp on it face up, and try really hard to not put your fingerprints on the stamp. So you're holding it from the side, laying it on a brush. And here is where the t-shirt comes in handy, or comes handy, is you're going to use the t-shirt to dry your fingers from the ink. Of course, your fingers are going to still have ink on them, but they're going to be dry. And the fact that they're dry is going to be helpful. How? It's going to be helpful because your paper that you grab to ink, to print, is not going to have fingerprints on it. And that's very important in the printing world. So now that your fingers are dry, you're going to go and choose one of the pages that was in this bucket. And I usually put this in a centralized location. And where they have to walk to it so that the kids get a little bit of their anxiety out. It really helps to have it in one place. And I caught this kid trying to take two, and no, you only take one, because that way your paper has the greater opportunity of remaining fingerprint free while you're working with it. And here you see the clean paper placed on top of the upward facing stamp. And students are taught to use the palm of their hands to rub the stamp gently or firmly. Then they peel their print off of the stamp and place it in the drying rack where they are not touching or overlapping over any other print.
So there it is. Not that difficult, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at miriam.catales@yahoo.com, and I will definitely try to answer your questions, or you can place a comment below, and I will also try to answer your questions. And again, prints are so much fun. Printmaking is one of the most exciting units in the elementary art classroom. So I think definitely it's worth exploring, and good luck with everything. You'll do amazing.